the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in 1995 and has had diplomatic postings to the Gambia, Dhaka, and Qatar. In 2009, he became the British government's first ambassador of Indian origin when he was appointed British High Commissioner to Cameroon and non-resident ambassador to Gabon, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, and Central African Republic. Mr. Bharat is honored to be posted as head of the UK's third largest mission in India. Before that, he worked as a private secretary to two British ministers as well as in various departments of the FCO, including the European Union Department and Press Office. Mr. Bharat also has experience of crisis management and has been deployed to the scenes of major incidents involving British nationals, including after the bombing of the British Consulate General in Istanbul in 2003. Mr. Bharat's varied career has been spent dealing with a full range of HMG work, including promoting political and economic reform and improved human rights, improved UK prosperity through trade, climate change and UN policy issues. A major part of his portfolio in Chennai is focused on enhancing the trade and investment partnership between the UK and Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Pondicherry. Mr. Bharat took to Bhakti Marg 18 years ago. Don't mistake me, his wife's name is Bhakti, and his devotion to Bhakti resulted in two daughters, and his interests are cricket, badminton, history, reading and traveling. Mr. Bharat speaks English, French, Gujarati, Hindi and Spanish, and is slowly learning to speak Tamil. Now, let me invite the chief guest of the morning, British Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Bharat Joshi, to launch the toolkit. Mr. Karthik will take the toolkit to the stage. Let's put our hands together. We can have the copies distributed to the guests. Now I invite our chief guest to address the gathering.
Ram, thank you very much. Thank you to Swapna for all the work that she's done ahead of this event and for setting the stage. And thank you especially to Dr. Sirkar. Actually, I don't have very much to say. He said everything that I was going to say, including talking about the importance of the UK-India commercial relationship. So I will be terribly brief. I do first want to thank IP Dome for the work that they've done on developing the Smart Toolkit. This was always designed to be a very practical tool for companies, not to be theological and to get involved in the policy, but to talk companies through what potential strategies to manage IP when they were investing into India. And it's particularly relevant for SMEs who don't have the access to the resources that they need to navigate IP in India successfully. It's important to say it's a free resource, so it's available online, and it's available to anyone who has an interest in the field, although primarily it's designed for UK companies investing into India. Ram, you were talking about India being so attractive right now in the economic cycle. I would just say that India has always been exciting for British companies, and British companies are not just coming, British companies are here. So we heard, as we heard, we're the third largest investor. We invested more into India in the last 10 years than the US and Japan combined. So there's a huge amount of UK investment. So we are heavily invested into the UK economy and have a stake in seeing it grow faster, but also to grow well. It's quite easy, I always think, to dismiss IP, intellectual property, as being quite an arcane and peripheral to companies who are making big investment decisions, and as being something which is only incidental to economic growth. And I think that's a huge mistake. IP is a vital component of any successful economy in driving growth. And just to give you an example, the UK's total investment in intellectual property rights, and that's in patents, designs, copyrights, trademarks is more than 4% of our total GDP. It's a colossal, colossal figure. And in 2011, we invested almost half as much again on intangible assets, including on IP, as we did on tangible assets. So that's 127 billion on intangible assets compared to 88 billion pounds on tangible assets. That's why intellectual property matters and matters so much. Great ideas, which are properly protected and effectively exploited, help companies compete more successfully both in home markets and overseas. Businesses perform better, grow faster, and are much, much more resilient. I come from a country which has quite a good story to tell. The 2013 Taylor-Wessing report said that the UK was the best place in the world to invest, to obtain, exploit, and enforce intellectual property rights. That confidence is fundamental to the continuing success of our economy and our world-class industries. As Dr. Sirkar said, that India is an active WTO member and has in place the intellectual property framework that it needs to have and enforcement mechanisms, and those mechanisms are becoming more robust as we move forward. And I was quite pleased that in the last budget, the Finance Minister and Jaitley spent quite a bit of time talking about intellectual property as being a driver of growth. But because IP is so jurisdiction specific, UK companies can often get quite confused when they come here about the best way in which to protect, to monetize and enforce their IP when they're doing business here. And that can actually deter companies. It creates a lot of nervousness about entering the market, and it can deter those investment decisions or delay them at the very least. So this smart toolkit is very much about practical IP issues. It's about the issues that any new business coming to India might face, including around finding effective local partnerships, how and when to bring your IP into India, how you maintain confidentiality, about technology transfer, and are there any concerns that you'll be hearing a lot more about over the next few hours and over the rest of the day. So I'm incredibly pleased that we, the UK, through the Intellectual Property Office, have supported the creation of the toolkit. And I hope it will go some way to dispelling the concerns that companies have when they're coming to invest into India. I'd also just like to take a moment to invest my team. I have a large team here, which is a sign of how committed we are to intellectual property. And Shika Jaj is our intellectual property expert. She resides in Delhi, but she's joined us for the day. If anyone has any specific questions about intellectual property, do please make a beeline towards her. And I also have a number of my colleagues here, so if I could ask Saju, Sam Kumar is here somewhere, Madhivadani is here. They'll be here throughout the day, so please do ask them any questions you want to ask them. Finally, because you're all involved, I think, in the innovation sphere, I did just want to say something about a program that we are running for the second year. It's called Tech Rocket Ships. We launched it last year, and it's very much about finding exciting new companies who have products which are ready for the market and are looking for investors. And it's an India-wide competition. Last year, 2 of the winners came from Tamil Nadu and Kerala. We're very keen to try and find some of those innovative companies. And what we do with the winners is we take them to the United Kingdom, we expose them to potential investors, to venture capitalists, to potential partners, to potential customers, and there's even funding to help them set up in the UK if we think there's that potential. So if you are interested, please do ask my colleagues. It's Tech Rocket Ships. You'll be hearing a lot more about that over the next few weeks. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you again to IP Dome, and thank you to Sirkar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bharat Joshi, for the inspiring speech. And before we get on to the introduction to toolkit and workshop, we'll have a short group photo. I would invite Ms. Anshika Jha to join the group, Mr. PVS Giridhar, and hurry up.